Hello and welcome to Monica Stoker's podcast. My name is Monica and I'm an English teacher. Si hablas español y quieres mejorar tu inglés, este es tu podcast. Episode 3, Practicing the Irregular Verbs. I have here with me my dear student Samuel. Okay, Samuel, how are you?
Hello, not too bad.
Not too bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit for the first time listeners. Tell us a little bit of who you are and what you do. Okay.
Okay. Well, first of all, my name is Samuel, as Monica said before, and I work as a teacher. I am a PE teacher in a primary school, and in a short time, I would like to teach my student in English, and for the reason here I am.
Yeah.
I really fond of doing sport, in particular triathlon, and that's it.
For me, Samuel is a hero, and I have to say very loud because I met Samuel some years ago when he had zero level of English, and he had worked his way up. With such an effort, so hard, and with language exchanges, because some people say, well, you don't have resources, I cannot pay high-end classes. No, he didn't need them. He just continued, and he's quite fluent.
Resistant.
Yeah, it's like in sports, you know?
Yeah,
you want to go further and further and further. And what I love about him is that he keeps insisting. I said, okay, let's do this class. And he said, when are we going to do the class? It's very eager. To be eager, do you understand that expression? To be eager.
Yeah.
Que tener ganas, tiene muchas ganas. To be eager to have a class. When most people say, no, another English class. So he's completely different from that. And I really admire him because of that, because you can achieve results only because you want to. That's it. So today we're going to, just as I did with Kike in another lesson, I'm going to try to explain Samuel in a very specific manner how to improve his English level, doing very specific things. I think he knows most of these things, but the difference is going to be that we're going to try to narrow down as much as possible. Do you understand to narrow down?
It's specific or more attention, I think.
Yeah, narrow down is como estrechar, no? The focus of the because first of all, I want to ask you, what is for you to be fluent in English? Yeah. What is for you to be fluent?
Okay, well, now I realize that I'm doing a thing which I think is extremely effective for me. Is to do reading and listening at the same time, because I figured out how to sound different vocabulary, and I can learn new words. And now I really motivated with that, because it's important to find a topic which you love, you know.
Yeah.
And for me, I am really motivated with that. And as soon as I get up, I study English. I read and listen to English at the same time. At least 30 minutes every single day, and now it's my new sport, as you said before. It's my habit.
Your hobby. Okay, but I was asking for a definition. What is your definition of being fluent?
Yeah, I think when you don't have any problem to communicate with native people, when you have to control everything with the new language, I think you're fluency.
Fluent. Okay, and you're saying to me, okay, and then I'm going to add what you just said. you're saying to me, one of the ways to become fluent is this new method I found is that I read and listen at the same time. You do shadow reading. We call that shadow reading. So it's an audiobook or some kind of page where you can listen to the recording, and at the same time you say. So they say one sentence and you say exactly the same, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's true. You try to copy the pronunciation.
Yeah? You have to have a time to be used to new vocabulary or new expression. But first of all, you need to know how to sound, how to say this specific sentence in a text, for example. Or
because it's not only. The problem is that it's not only the pronunciation of certain words, it's also the intonation. And when you're imitating an accent and you're listening and reading, you copy the intonation. Intonation is just as important as the accent. Because if you say the thing with the right accent but the wrong intonation, it sounds still strange. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's another benefit. You get another benefit from that technique that you are using. And it's that at the same time, you're learning its structures without even noticing, because you're repeating. And when you repeat at the end, you make those structures yours. If you repeat the same structure, well, at the end you say the same. For example, I read The Phantom of the Opera like 1,000 times. This is for beginners. This is a book I use for beginners. And I always say, he was a man with no eyes, no nose. No, I already know it from this because I read it 1,000 times. Okay?
Yeah.
So or I read it thousands of times, this book. So I know the sentences. When you memorize the sentences, and this is one of the methods I use to improve the level. So basically there are two things. One is, and the most important thing, and you already know this, is to work on the verbs. And especially the irregular verbs. Okay? The irregular verbs. Why? Because the verbs, and I like to use this metaphor, is, let's say we have a tree. The verbs are going to be the roots for that tree to grow. If you don't have the verbs, that tree cannot grow. Because there's no way that you can supply all the elements that are needed to grow. So the verbs are these kind of vehicles that they help you to grow the tree. And the other elements, let's say that the trunk is going to be all important structures, but then you get to the leaves, and leaves are like details, like prepositions, things that are not so important, but they need to be there to have a nice tree, right? But these roots, when we start with the roots that are the verbs, you learn this list of verbs when you're at school, and there's where the problem starts. We talked about that before in other podcasts, that we spent 25 years learning these verbs, and we really don't know them, okay? Because, why? Because you don't use them in sentences, and you don't listen to them. You read them, but you don't listen to them. It's much more important to listen to them than to read them. So we're going to work now with that, because I'm going to give you an example. We're going to pick only 3 verbs, because if we take 2 or 3, more than 3 verbs, the system starts collapsing because it's too much information. So suppose I'm going to use the verb soplar. Okay, conjugate the verb soplar. How do you conjugate? Don't write. Just conjugate soplar in English.
Well, blow, blew, blown.
Okay, blow, blew,
blown.
Blew, blown. Very good. Very good. Okay. So that's the first step. Second step. We're going to make sentences, and I'm going to go from Spanish to English, because your mind If you're in Spain, you're not in an English-speaking country, usually you're thinking in Spanish. You're not thinking in English, okay? You're thinking in Spanish. And because you're thinking in Spanish, your brain tends to translate. And that's why I say the sentence in Spanish. For example, el viento no ha soplado hoy.
The wind haven't blown today.
Samuel, third person.
The wind hasn't.
The wind.
The wind hasn't blown today.
Okay, there's one thing I know. I'm sure you know this, but I'm going to talk about this because it's very important to see the difference and why we fail and we feel frustrated. And the reason is because if you think about the verb soplar in Spanish, okay? Suppose you're learning the verb soplar in Spanish, which you don't even remember when you learned it. But if I say to you, futuro, presente, pasado, you would do this. Ha soplado, no sopló, soplará. You do exactly and you don't make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's very strange. It would be very strange that you make any mistakes. Maybe little children make mistakes, but you don't. Right? Okay, now we change into English. We get into English and we want to be fluid. We start. El viento no ha soplado. And then instead of el viento no haber soplado ayer. No. El viento no ha soplado ayer. Right? I would correct that. I would say no ha soplado ayer. No. The wind hasn't. No, espera, es que no se puede decir ayer with present perfect. No ha soplado. Hoy. The wind, again. El viento no ha soplado hoy.
In present
perfect, yeah.
Okay. The wind hasn't blown today.
That's it. The wind hasn't. The wind hasn't. So we have a root there. We work on that root. Es a metaphor for me. El verbo es una raíz. Trabajo en la raíz. I have to build it up. La tengo que construir because if I don't build it up, we're never going to have that tree, nice tree. Okay. El viento sopla todos los días.
The blow.
No, the wind. The wind. Oh, no, no es the wind, es wind. Because the wind. A ver.
Okay.
Wind blows, or the wind. Espera un momento. The wind, when we talk about the weather or the moon, the sun, we do use the article the. No, it is the wind. The wind, yes. The wind, el viento sopla todos los días.
The wind blows every day.
El viento sopló ayer.
The wind did. No. The wind blew yesterday.
Very good. Yesterday, con I, Samuel. Not yesterday, sino yesterday. The wind blew yesterday. The wind blew yesterday. ¿Ha soplado hoy el viento? Don't write. Look at me. Don't write. Es que estás mirando. Look at me. Just listen.
No.
No, don't write.
Without.
Write. Forget about writing. Okay, look at me. ¿Ha soplado el viento hoy?
Has the plane blown today?
Has the wind?
Has the plane?
The wind.
Has the plane?
The wind.
The wind. Sorry.
Has the wind?
Has the wind blown today?
No, el viento no ha soplado hoy.
No, I haven't.
No, the wind.
Okay.
Hasn't.
The wind hasn't blown today.
Okay. El viento soplará mañana.
The wind is going to blow tomorrow.
Soplará. No quiero going to. Soplará.
Okay. The wind will blow tomorrow.
Perfect. The wind will blow tomorrow.
The wind
el viento nunca sopla aquí.
The wind never blow here.
Tercera persona, third person.
The wind blows. No, the wind never blows here.
Perfect.
Sorry.
The wind never blows here. Okay, perfect. Donde yo vivo, el viento sopla mucho. O el viento sopla mucho donde yo vivo. You can say the other way around.
The wind blows so.
No, a lot. A lot is the best way because a lot covers everything.
The wind blows a lot where I live.
Very good. Very good. So if you repeat it, the more you repeat it, the more it's like fluent. That's fluency. The more, imagine how fluent you are in Spanish. Imagine the difference. Imagine the difference with el viento soplar ayer no sopló. You say it like this. Everybody, ta 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 ta. Okay.
It's like a training, yeah.
And when you get it's like a training. It's exactly like training in sport. Blah blah. If you make me train, you were my trainer for sports, and I had to do push-ups or anything like that, you would be very disappointed. You would say, "Oh my God, she has to work more because she is very lazy. She doesn't want." Or whatever, maybe I'm not lazy. Usually I'm not lazy because that's not my attitude, but I'm not in a very good fit. I'm not, because I'm not doing the sports every day. So if you don't do it every day, the thing with the language is that you use it every day, you want it or not. Okay, in Spanish is the same. You use it every day because you're forced to use it every day. But sports or exercise, you do it when you want to, no? When you feel like, and many people, I'm sure you have this situation, they want to do sports and they say, well, how can you're never going to get there if you're just doing 5 minutes and then you give up. The same thing happens here. So blow, but what is for me the most important element, the most important factor is attitude. Attitude.
It's true. It's the key. The
attitude is so important.
Spend time with your language.
Yeah.
And there is an important thing is develop. No, the notice. I know is when you develop your notice and you realize. You realize things, you know?
You know what I mean? Yeah.
When you realize, for example, you are practicing future tense, and there is a moment when you realize how to use future, how to use this special word when to use future, for example. When you notice or you realize...
Yeah, you become aware of the differences. But that this is like, it's a process. At the beginning, everything is like black. I don't see any light here. Everything is unknown. And then suddenly you start seeing little lights. There's some light here. I understand this structure, but I don't know how it works. And what makes the difference is that you keep trying, and then suddenly you see the picture and you say, oh my God, my tree is there. I have my roots, I have my trunk, and I have my branches and my leaves. Yeah. But that takes a long time. And one key element here is to work with very specific things. We work with the word blow, which is a common structure for many verbs in English, because blow, you would say blow, but blow, well, I don't use that word too much. Yeah. In spite of that, in Spanish, if I ask for soplar, you could say the same. Bueno, soplar, no usamos mucho esa palabra, pero if I say to you, conjúgamela, you would go pa, no problem, right? Okay, vamos a another pattern with the same pattern. There are many words. Crecer.
Crecer es grow, grew, grown.
Okay.
Grow,
So here,
grew, grown.
one comment I'm going to make.
Grew up. Grow up, grew
To
up.
grow up and to grow. There's a difference. Okay, grow up in English means. Ya empezamos con los apuntes. No me interesan los apuntes. Notes. It's conversation. Toma todos los apuntes for listening.
Okay.
I have here the.
It's true. When you
I have
said...
a notebook on the chat that is going to be recorded, and I'm going to use that chat to ask you later. Okay. Grow. So grow is grow, grew, grown. Grew. Todos suenan igual. Know, knew, known.
As new, grew.
Throw, threw, thrown. Do you see the same pattern? With the same pattern, we can do 4 verbs. We can do blow, throw, know, y grow. 4 verbs, okay? So, the pattern is always, let's see, grow, grew, grown. Okay, I'm going back to what I started to say. And is that grow has basically 2 meanings. One of them is crecer, but in general, everything plants grow. Figuratively, you can also say that an idea grew. Many things can grow, okay? Population grows. But grow up, to grow up is not, it's for people. To grow up means crecer.
Only people?
Yeah, only people. You cannot say that plants
Animal
grow up.
Plants, no?
No, because it means to grow up es como criarse. Como, por ejemplo, I grew up in New York, you could say. Or I grew up in Madrid. Or I grew up in Cuenca. That means, the meaning there is crecer, en el sentido de to be raised or raised. No, to be raised, sorry. To be raised. Ser criado. And then also to grow up also is madurar. When are you going to grow up? If you are a child, sometimes teenagers, when they behave like children, or even adults behave like children, you can say, when are you going to grow up? Okay, so there's a difference there. You see the difference? Grow up for people and grow in general for anything else. People, only people, okay? No me digas que las plantas grew up, porque it sounds very funny, porque es como, las plantas han madurado. Only people, right? Okay? So, that distinction. Let's see, we're going to talk about plants. Esas plantas no han crecido.
These plants...
no, Samuel, esas están lejos. These is near.
Those,
in English is near.
Those plants?
Mm-hmm.
Those plants haven't grown.
Very good, very good. Those plants haven't grown.
Plants haven't grown, yeah.
Those
plants haven't grown.
Esa planta creció poco.
That plant grew a little.
Very good. No, very good. Esa planta no creció.
That plant didn't grow.
Didn't grow, okay.
Didn't grow.
Esa planta crece todos los días.
That plant grows every day.
Okay. Let's see another. La población no ha crecido en esta ciudad. Population, okay? We're going to use population.
population.
Population hasn't.
Population.
The population.
The population hasn't grown.
Hasn't what? Sorry.
Hasn't grown.
In.
I didn't remember.
En esta
I
ciudad.
didn't remember. In this city.
Okay.
In this.
¿Ha crecido la población en esta ciudad? Tercera persona. Population is third person.
Has the population grown in this city?
La población creció. Very good. La población creció un 5%.
The population grew. The population grew 5%.
Very good. The population. So you see what the brain is doing? The brain, I always talk about the metaphor of the Spanish guy that is living in your brain and the English guy that is the tenant. The landlord and the tenant. The tenant is el inquilino. So let's suppose in your brain you have a landlord, el dueño, el propietario, no? And this guy is Spanish, obviously. And he has all kinds of furniture. Tiene todo tipo de muebles ahí. And then he has a tenant, an English guy that has no furniture. And he has to borrow from the Spanish, okay? And he starts first taking this furniture, but he adapts it to English, you know? And he starts first making it until he can buy his own furniture. The tenant, el inquilino, dice, bueno, pues voy a comprar algo mío, not borrow from the Spanish. Because if I borrow from the Spanish, it's not going to be mine. So I start saving resources, and I create my own furniture. And then when you're doing that, in that process that is going in your brain, you're looking for the words, okay? You're saying, grown, grew. You're looking, and so the speech becomes very, very slow because the brain is trying to find the furniture. And is basically borrowing, está realmente pidiendo de prestado al otro. Entonces, we cut the borrowing and we create our own things, our own resources. But eso, this is when you start stuttering or start hesitating. You understand hesitating? Hesitating is dudar. Yeah, you start like, is it grown?
Automatic.
No, exactly. But it's also another metaphor. For me, the very, very specific is driving. I told you a thing about driving. Driving for me is the same. When you go first gear, second gear, third gear, and then suddenly you do it. Yes, first, second, third. I don't know if it is fifth. If it is, I have no idea. It's embedded. It's inserted into my brain in such a way that is a different kind of knowledge. It's mechanic knowledge. It's not analyzing. In a certain moment, you stop analyzing. It's like in Spanish. Sometimes I said, this morning I asked one student something like, me dijo que lo hiciera. And then he said, I said in Spanish, me dijo que lo hiciera. And then he comes and asks me, me dijo, ¿qué tiempo es? And I started laughing. You don't know that me dijo is past tense? No, I don't know. I'm not aware. It is completely automatic. So what I'm asking you is to go back and think, is it past tense? And you have that problem, you know, with what? Present perfect. In present perfect, you are not, because what you did, you went to the past tense. And then you went back to present perfect. And then there's the problem of have and has. Is it third person or is it plural? Okay, so has and have.
I have a lot of elements.
Yes. And you start looking, but
many times I don't have any control.
But this prevents Alzheimer completely because your brain is going crazy. Like so, grow, grew, grown, blow, blew, blown. let's do it with know. That is very
No,
common verb.
no.
No, new, no. Okay, vamos a decir que es conocer. Because
Okay.
if I say saber, it's more difficult to translate. Let me see. Yo sabía eso.
I knew that.
I knew that. Yo no sabía eso.
I knew that.
I didn't.
I didn't know that.
Nunca he sabido por qué. Nunca he sabido por qué.
I haven't.
No puedo poner. Cuidado que tengo nunca. No puedo poner
never.
those two negatives there.
I have never. Yeah. I have never known.
Why?
That.
No.
Why?
I have never known why. I have never
I
known.
Okay. I have never known why.
Why?
Why?
Okay. I have never known why. I have never known why. Lo sabía.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it.
Okay, I knew it. ¿Sabías tú?
I knew it. As a matter of fact, I knew it. Is familiar because I've heard before.
Yeah,
I heard
many times.
I knew it.
Yeah. And that's why you know it. Yeah, that's why. But it's exactly the same for everything else. Okay, the more you're exposed to the language, the better it is. ¿Lo sabías tú?
Did you know?
Did you know it? Did you know it? Did you know it? Did you know? Did you? Did you know it? Did you know it?
Did you know it?
Ella no lo sabe.
She doesn't know it.
Very good.
No?
She doesn't know it. She doesn't know it.
He doesn't know it.
Él lo sabe. Él lo sabe.
He knows it.
He knows it. He knows
He
it.
knows. He knows it.
it.
He knows it.
Lo supe ayer. Aquí there's a problem here with the translation. Lo supe ayer is usually.
I knew it yesterday.
Yeah, but usually there's another expression. I learned.
Okay.
I learned yesterday that he died, for example. Supe ayer que murió. I learned. It's another expression. I knew yesterday. I learned yesterday. I learned that he died. I learned that he died yesterday. Vamos a ponerlo detrás. Okay. ¿Por qué no lo sabías?
Why not did you?
No. Make a contraction there. Why didn't you?
Why? Okay. Why didn't you know it?
Why didn't you know it? Sometimes we don't use it. Why didn't you know?
Okay.
It's optional in a way. Why didn't you know? So we have grow, blow. We're going to, the third verb is to throw. Arrojar.
Throw, threw, thrown.
Ella me arrojó la pelota.
She threw the ball.
To me. Okay, she threw the ball to me. Okay.
Throw, threw, throw, threw, thrown. Throw,
threw, thrown. Ella no ha arrojado nada. O tirado. Ella no ha tirado nada.
She hasn't thrown anything.
Very good. ¿Qué has tirado tú?
What dash?
No. ¿Qué has tirado tú?
What?
¿Qué has? De verbo hablar.
Yeah.
And Samuel, you're from where are you from again? You're from Ciudad Real, right?
No, it's from Talavera.
Talavera. Okay, Talavera. No, but you don't have problems with the pretérito imperfecto because you do use haber arrojado, ¿verdad? Ha arrojado. Yeah. Because in some parts of Spain, this tense doesn't exist. They only use the past tense. And I find that the people with that problem usually can have a lot of problems with the present perfect in English. but probably in your case it's just that you haven't practiced so much the present perfect. Yeah. ¿Qué has arrojado?
What
have you?
What have you thrown?
What have you thrown?
My main issue to learn or to know English is practice. I need to practice every single day. Practice makes perfect.
No, of course, but of course it's the main. No, but it's the main. But what I wanted to show you here is how working on very specific things, because you can work in general, listen, and what you're doing is correct. I mean, listen and read and all that, and you get to the same point. Like, it's like two people running to get to one to the finish line, a la meta, to the finish line, and you take different roads. Okay, one road could be to live in a foreign country, and to spend there some time. And another road is to learn on your own. Another road is to take a teacher and try to learn with that teacher. So they're different roads. They all get you to the finish line, but in different ways. Okay? When you're doing this with me, you're working very specifically in problems, obstacles with fluency. And you can see that we just worked here with one thing that was three verbs, okay? Irregular verbs in different tenses, using the system that your brain uses. That the system that your brain uses to speak English is think in Spanish, translate it. Even if you tell your brain, don't do it, you'll do it. Okay? Because it's impossible to do it otherwise, because of the metaphor I told you of the Spanish landlord with the English tenant. A tenant es un inquilino. Okay? O sea, es que no se puede evitar eso. Okay?
Because and sometimes I think about my level, because many times I know that I have simple mistake. I make simple mistake and silly me, no? And as you said before, it's important. It's essential or it's crucial to have a base, a huge base, a huge root, no? Because if you want to build up a huge building, you need to have a
foundation, a good foundation. Exactly. In the foundation, the difference of the method that you're saying and the method I'm saying, it's how specific it is. In this method that I'm using and I usually use with my students, is to be very specific about the problems, to work on very specific things. Okay, this is called SMART objectives. So there are only few objectives, but we work very hard on them, and then you feel less frustrated, because otherwise it's very, very broad. There's so many things to learn, so many structures, so many things. But if you start working with one verb, you already have the pattern of 3 or 4 verbs. We said 4 verbs. Of course, I said, this is like a road, and I'm telling you the signs. Here there's a sign, here there's a sign, here there's a sign. The first step is to notice there is a sign, because the teacher told you there was a sign, but before you didn't see it. You were blind, because you are learning the subject still. But I'm telling you, like in the same way that if you train me, you would say, no, you're doing that wrong. You're moving the arm in the wrong way, and you can have a lesion. Why? Because you've done it all your life, and you know exactly what happens, and you know the anatomy of the body, you know how the muscles work, all these things you know, and I don't know. And so this is the same thing. I'm telling you, there's a sign here, there's a sign there. Follow these signs. And the first thing you do is, hey, there's a sign there. Now I'm going to be aware about that. Okay, next time I work on the verbs, I'm going to be aware that I have to say them in the past tense, in the present perfect, in the future. Otherwise, I don't really know them. I have an idea about what they are, but I don't really know. Another thing I wanted to work on, and this is not, we're not going to spend a very long time, but I want to show you. You said you were doing active reading, and I usually use an easy page to do this. One easy page is Voice of America, Learning English.
Yeah, I know.
That's a very easy page. So I, for example, pick an article, and we're going to work here with an article. How do I say goodbye to a coworker in this article? Okay? Can you check the article? Okay, you're going to find in this page, you're going to find the recording and the article, and they read the way they read is very, very slow, so you can follow. So first, can you read the first paragraph?
Okay, in today's Ask a Teacher, we answer a question about saying goodbye. Our reader, Hideki.
But this is the Japanese name, so there's nothing we can do about that. Hideki or something like that. Works at a high school.
Okay. Works at a high school in Japan with many international co-workers. He writes.
Okay, stop. Okay, now I'm going to read it, and then we're going to do shadow reading. Okay, so now I'm going to read it. The difference is not going to be so much the accent as the intonation. Okay?
Okay.
So in today's Ask a Teacher, we answer a question about saying goodbye. So you see, intonation is nothing else than up, down, up, down, up, down, and breathing. Also, because the breathing is different. So in today's Ask a Teacher, comma, we answer a question about saying goodbye, period. Our reader, Hideki, works at a high school in Japan with many international co-workers. Okay, that's the sentence. Now, again, in today's Ask a Teacher, you do shadow reader. You now read like I read. Okay, after me. In today's Ask a Teacher.
In today's Ask a Teacher.
We answer a question.
We answer a question.
About saying goodbye.
About saying goodbye.
You see? It's like a song. Then there's another thing. You might think, oh, actually, this is not a very important thing. The pronunciation is not the main thing. Not really. Because as long as they can understand you, it's okay. But there are two advantages with this. The better you pronounce, the more people are going to think you have a higher level immediately. That's the way it works. Because then the second thing is that when you learn the different sounds, is that, and they're not so many. The only thing is that you're not aware of them because your ear is unable to detect the difference between the Spanish and English. Okay? But if I tell you there's a sign there, there's a sign here, you start to be aware. And the first step is to be aware. What happens is when you start to be aware of the sounds, you feel that you're under control. And you feel like self-confidence grows. And then when you're speaking, you feel much better and it's less frustrating because verbs are very frustrating. But if I tell you, okay, do this sound like this, that sound like this, and then suddenly you hear yourself and you say, oh, wow. Now I said that sentence sounds like not like a native because I don't even have a native accent. But what I do is I copy. And I copy as close as possible. Not always succeeded, but as close as possible. And then it sounds really nice. And then you say, oh my God, it sounds much better, no? And then you feel proud. And that is very good for motivation. Okay, so now you're going to read again. And then one important thing here. You go over and over with the same sentence. This is how they train Filipinos. You know that Filipinos, they work in call centers for the United States. And they have to have exactly the same accent, American accent. And they do this like this. They train them, some of them, because not everybody can do this, because you need to have a high level of English and some previous training. they do this. They get paragraphs and they copy until they say it with the same intonation. Okay?
Mhm.
In today's Ask a Teacher,
In today's Ask a Teacher, no,
we
ask.
ask como asco.
Yeah, ask.
Le quitas
Okay,
la
ask.
O. Okay? Remember, it's very important. The consonant, the vowel sound is not important. In English, consonants, when you hear a guiri, cuando escuchas a un guiri, I think I told you this story.
Yeah.
The guiri is going to speak Spanish with the consonants, not with the vowels. Dice, va a decir yo, soy. ¿Qué es lo que está haciendo ahí cuando hace eso? Es que le está poniendo énfasis a la S. Soy. Pedro. Explosive
Pedro.
sound. Pedro. You boy, it has a todos los días. What is that? What is that? Le pone el t, le pone la D, días, le pone la D, días, y no pone vocal. La vocal la corta. It's exactly what you do in English. We do the opposite. We put a lot of emphasis in vowel sounds and not so much emphasis in the consonants. And that's why it's ask. So in today's Ask a Teacher, we answer a question. Say that. We answer
in today's Ask a Teacher, we answer a question
about saying goodbye.
About saying goodbye.
Our reader, Hideki, works at a high school in Japan.
Works at a high school in Japan.
With many international co-workers.
With many international co-workers.
So with many international co-workers. With many international co-workers.
Many international co-workers.
Very good. Co-workers. Because another thing, don't eat the S. No te comas la S, okay? Sometimes,
co-workers.
Okay. Workers, co-workers. He writes. Okay, we stop there. So to summarize, to sum up, we work with some verb tenses, specific verb tenses, in different tenses, and we practice a lot with those tenses, like present perfect, past tense, present tense, sometimes future. Basically 3 tenses, maybe 4 tenses. We found patterns in verbs, like we found with grow and blow and know and throw. So 4 verbs. Okay, we did those almost 4 verbs, and we repeat that structure. Can you summarize it for me? Because when you tell me the story, you really learn it. Okay. Mm-hmm. When we teach is when we learn. It's funny because the more you explain, the more you learn about it. So can you tell me?
So it's another technique to learn new something and to wrap up.
Right?
Wrap up. The most important thing is that when you learn something, it's better slowly but thoroughly.
Very good.
And you need to have a huge phone first of all, and after that you have to grow up to advance, no, or to be advanced, or to
be advanced.
To be advanced.
Wait a minute. You have to have a huge what?
A huge foundation.
A foundation. No, you need to have a huge foundation. No, but you need to have a foundation. Yeah. Uh-huh. So, and that foundation, what is that foundation made of? ¿De qué está hecha? What is it made of? Foundation of the English language, according to what I said.
One of the most important things are verbs.
Verbs,
in particular, irregular verbs. How to pronounce those or these verbs, no? These verbs, and slowly, on step by step, you have to practice every single day because, as you know, practice makes perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like in my case, I really fan of doing sport, and my new sport now is English. Is to
Yes, it's true.
learn
But it
a new
has been
language.
for a long time, huh? It has been for a
Yeah,
long time, yes.
I need to do.
You're
I
my
would like to
hero.
feel really confident
Yeah.
to talk with you, to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I know that I am on a good way
Mm-hmm.
because I really motivated, and my attitude is positive. Is the key for me.
Yeah.
Motivation, attitude, spend time with your new language.
And what did I say about pronunciation?
Pronunciation.
What did I say? What did I say? ¿Qué dije de eso? About pronunciation. Do you remember?
Yeah, you said it's important to.
Well, it's not so important for the fluency.
The most important thing is the rhythm, no? Rhythm is more important.
No, but what I want to say is pronunciation is not very important for fluency, really, because you can speak English with an accent and be fluent. But it is important as a tool for motivation, because when you start speaking with an accent that is closer to a native accent, you feel better and you feel more under control. And you people immediately think that you have a higher level than you really have, and that's why also is very encouraging, because the moment you reduce your accent, then people start thinking, oh, he knows a lot of English. That's number one. And number two, you feel that you're more under control. And in a way, it is not so difficult to improve your accent, because you need to know certain details that you're not aware of and nobody told you usually. So if you learn those details, it's going to be much faster. And we can work on the future classes on that. And you'll see it, because it's just that you're not aware. And the moment you're aware, first you realize, and then you say, now I got to implement this. And then you try, and then your mouth hurts. Te duele la boca, because you try to pronounce it in a way you never did before.
Yeah.
And
you have never used
those muscles. It's como when you ask people to do push-ups and they have cramps all over, the next day, because they never use those muscles. It's exactly the same.
Stiffness is correct when you do exercise.
Yeah. Cramps es calambres. Stiffness, stiff muscle es como agujetas. Yes, that's it. Okay, we stop here. I'll make a new appointment. I'll write an email for you, probably for Wednesday again. I'm not sure, but I'll write to you if you want to join, of course. It's a pleasure having you. And I really thank you because you're willing to record with me this podcast. Okay. Because I think you help me. You also help people that want to learn English. So we both help people that want to learn English, because this material is for free if you want to listen to it. And so it's good for everyone. It's a win-win situation, right?
Thank you. And before you go, I would like to show my list of irregular verbs. Okay.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's important, and I try to go over every day, every week at least.
But think about the way I told you how to do it. Don't get overwhelmed. No te abrumes, because if the main problem with the regular verbs is that we get overwhelmed because there are so many. It's just pick 2 or 3 verbs and work with them like this. Like, did you do it? No, I didn't do it. Will you do it? I have done it. She has done it. In the same way you would do in Spanish.
Yeah, I know. But now,
no hesitation. And that takes time, of course, but it's only 2-3 verbs, and it's just like, did you do it? No, she didn't. Now, this kind of conversation with yourself, and this is how you get used to it.
But go ahead, sorry.
No, just that's my advice.
Fine, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
Thank you so much. But now, to be honest, I am sitting on the fence because now my level is B2, not my real level, okay? But I have this level to work, okay, for my job. But I would like to take next level, okay? I would like to have C1 level, but at the same time that is now I am not ready now, and I would like to be ready in the short term because my school wants to be a bilingual center, and in a future they will have a teacher with high qualification. And for this reason, one of the reason is I am really motivated for that. But at the same time, I want to do now things which I love because, for example, I hate writing. I hate writing because
you
I'm
don't like it.
bored.
Some people don't like writing. Yeah, that's
Okay. And now I really motivated with speaking, with listening, because I realized that my level is improving. Sorry, and that's it. But at the same time, I think that but I need to practice my writing, my reading, my specific tasks to pass the future exam. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this is a different thing. I always tell students there's a completely different thing. One thing is to be fluent and speak English. Another thing is to pass an exam. And to pass an exam, especially the Cambridge examination, is learning a method, learning a way to pass certain types of questions. And this one thing I would tell you, I think I told you last summer I took an exam because I needed it for my work as a lawyer. And I wrote 2 books about English. I teach English for many years, all these things, but it has no value for the administration. The only thing that has a value is the certificate. So I had to go like any other students and take the C1. I took the C1 last summer, and I was really shocked by the kind of questions. I've been practicing a lot with those questions in different exams, but it's different when you take the exam than when somebody else takes the exam or a student takes the exam. And I was thinking, many times a native person would not be able to answer those questions because there are questions about logic. The reading is a lot about logic, and sometimes also the listening. And if you're not good at logic, you're not good at answering those questions. And I really believe it's not so much related to your level of English, because you can be very fluent and still fail. Do you understand? Fallar, fracasar. So you can still fail because it has to do with the method. So the method is learn how to do the exam. It has not. Of course, these kind of classes help you, but what helps you the most is to get the mock exams, the sample exams, and work on the sample exams 1 time, 2 times, answering the questions and doing exactly the same thing that they tell you to do. So following the books and following the method. Yeah, I know. And this is the only way that you can pass this kind of exam, especially the C1. Okay, you don't. The first thing is do a mock examination. Try to do a mock examination, and then you see your real level for their scale, which is not the same. You see where you are, and then from the results you get there, you start working on the problems you have, because you're going to get like a picture of your situation. If you want, in the next class, we'll tell you more about it because I have to go now. Okay? So in the next class, we can talk more specifically about that, and we can plan like a strategy. The strategy is strategy for passing this exam. Okay?
Okay,
And,
but in my case, I want
but
to.
are you already working on that? On the exam? Are you
The exam?
working on the exam C1?
Yeah, now yes, but not
very hard?
not from Cambridge. It's
The
for
AOE, from the AOE.
no British Council. British
The
Council
APTIS.
this exam because
APTIS.
I know now is
but APTIS is not as difficult. Huh?
but
It is
C1
better. No,
is better.
it's easy to get the B2, but probably the C1 is not so easy.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, we can work with APTIS. I can also tell you that. Okay.
APTIS is a good way to
get your
get a high level
your certificate. It's specific for teachers. Okay. Thank you very much, Samuel, again, and I'll see you next time. Okay, and we can talk about APTIS if you want to.
Okay, have a good weekend, and I hope you are doing well.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that we can help each other and we can help other people at the same time. Okay, good weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. See you.
You have been listening to Mónica Stocker's podcast. Si quieres saber más sobre este podcast, por favor visita el blog para aprender inglés o el blog del inglés de Mónica Stocker.